Welcome to Hidden Truth Casebook. Today we delve into one of the most infamous unsolved crimes in American history, the murder of Elizabeth Short, a case that would become known around the world as the Black Dahlia. Elizabeth Short was a young woman with dreams of becoming an actress in Los Angeles during the post-World War II era. Her life, filled with hope and ambition, was tragically cut short in January 1947, leaving behind a mystery that continues to baffle investigators, writers, and true crime enthusiasts to this day. The name Black Dahlia emerged from the media shortly after her body was discovered, inspired partly by her penchant for wearing black clothing and partly by the sensationalistic style of the Los Angeles press at the time. The case quickly became a national obsession, not just for its gruesome details, but for the strange and inexplicable circumstances surrounding Elizabeth's death. Elizabeth was only 22 years old when her body was found, but her story continues to captivate millions. In this video, we will take you through the chilling discovery of her body, the extensive investigation that followed, the countless theories proposed by police and amateurs alike, and the enduring impact her case has had on American culture and media. As we explore the story of the Black Dahlia, pay attention to the details, the inconsistencies, and the unanswered questions that make this case one of the most perplexing and haunting mysteries of the 20th century. From the bright dreams of a young woman to the dark alleyways of post-war Los Angeles, this is the story of Elizabeth Short, the Black Dahlia. On the morning of January 15, 1947, Los Angeles was waking up to an ordinary, quiet day. But in an empty lot in the neighborhood of Leimert Park, something horrifying was about to be discovered. At approximately 10 a.m., a local resident named Betty Bersinger was walking with her young daughter when she noticed what she thought was a discarded store mannequin lying on the edge of a vacant lot. The pale, almost porcelain-like color caught her eye, but as she walked closer, she realized it was something far more disturbing. What she had found was the body of a woman, later identified as 22-year-old Elizabeth Short. Her body had been severed completely in half at the waist, with the two sections placed deliberately several inches apart. The skin had been cleaned entirely of blood, suggesting the murder occurred elsewhere and the killer had staged the body at the location. Elizabeth's face had been brutally mutilated. Deep, precise cuts extended from the corners of her mouth toward her ears, creating a haunting, permanent smile. Her arms were raised over her head, bent at the elbows in a posed position. There were no signs of struggle at the scene, no blood, no footprints, no drag marks. It was clear that whoever did this had taken their time and had likely transported her body to the lot during the cover of night. The gruesome nature of the scene shocked investigators. Detectives immediately realized they were dealing not just with a murder, but with someone who had knowledge of anatomy, or at the very least, someone meticulous enough to create such precise wounds. The complete absence of blood suggested a controlled environment, possibly a private location where the killer had worked methodically. Within hours, the discovery had spread across the city. Crowds began gathering near the crime scene, curious neighbors stepping closer than they should, contaminating what little evidence might have been present. Reporters arrived almost instantly, photographing the scene from every possible angle. For the Los Angeles Police Department, it was the beginning of one of the most challenging murder investigations in its history. The investigation into the murder of Elizabeth Short quickly grew into one of the most extensive manhunts in Los Angeles history. Within hours of the body's discovery, detectives from the LAPD's homicide unit arrived at the scene, attempting to make sense of the chilling display. But the murderer had been careful, almost impossibly careful, leaving behind no blood, no fingerprints, and no clear trace of how Elizabeth had been brought to the lot. Detectives soon identified the victim through fingerprints, which matched previous records associated with Elizabeth Short. She was known around Hollywood for her striking appearance, dark hair, pale skin, and a hopeful dream of becoming an actress. But to investigators, every detail of her life now became a potential clue. One of the first theories police considered was that the killer possessed surgical knowledge. The clean separation of Elizabeth's body indicated a level of precision that was uncommon among typical homicides. Some investigators speculated that her murderer could have been a doctor, a medical student, or someone with anatomical training. However, despite interviewing dozens of professionals in the medical field, the LAPD found no immediate suspects. As the investigation expanded, detectives began questioning Elizabeth's acquaintances, friends, former roommates, men she had dated, and individuals who had crossed paths with her in the weeks leading up to her death. Elizabeth had moved frequently, and her lifestyle often placed her among unfamiliar faces. This made it difficult for detectives to narrow down a potential suspect list. One of the earliest persons of interest was Robert "Red" Manley, a salesman who had been one of the last people to see Elizabeth alive. Manley admitted to dropping her off in front of the Biltmore Hotel in downtown Los Angeles on January 9th, 6 days before her body was found. While he became a central figure in the early days of the investigation, he passed a lie detector test and provided a strong alibi for the time of the murder. Police eventually cleared him as a suspect. Despite the extensive questioning, the LAPD found itself overwhelmed by the sheer number of leads. More than 150 men were interviewed, and countless tips poured in from the public, many of them useless, some intentionally misleading. At one point, the LAPD even received letters supposedly written by the killer. These messages, mailed to newspapers, taunted investigators, and claimed responsibility for the murder. One letter included personal belongings believed to have belonged to Elizabeth, adding a chilling layer of credibility. Yet, even with media attention intensifying and public pressure rising, the investigation stalled. No fingerprints from the letters matched known suspects, and the messages could not be definitively tied to the killer. The case began to branch into multiple theories, each one more mysterious than the last. One widely discussed theory suggested that Elizabeth's death was linked to the criminal underworld of Los Angeles, possibly involving figures tied to organized crime. Another theory connected her murder to a series of similar crimes across the country, suggesting the work of a traveling serial killer. Still other theories proposed that Elizabeth may have been the victim of someone she knew intimately, a jealous lover, an obsessive admirer, or a violent acquaintance she had unknowingly trusted. Perhaps the most controversial theory involved a local doctor named George Hodel. Decades after the crime, Hodel's own son, a retired LAPD detective, accused him publicly of being involved in Elizabeth Short's murder. The theory gained steam due to Hodel's medical background, his history of abuse, and photos found among his belongings that appeared to resemble Elizabeth. Although this theory remains unproven, many true crime investigators consider him one of the strongest suspects. With every lead came another dead end. Witnesses contradicted each other, evidence was lost, contaminated, or mishandled. The LAPD faced increasing criticism, accused of being unprepared for a case of this magnitude. As days turned into weeks, what had begun as a massive search for a killer transformed into a tangle of theories, rumors, and speculation. In the end, the investigation would span years, involving dozens of detectives, hundreds of interviews, and thousands of pages of reports. Yet no one was ever charged with the murder of Elizabeth Short. The case, despite its notoriety and countless theories, remained as fragmented and elusive as the day her body was discovered, a haunting mystery that time has only deepened.
The media's involvement in the Black Dahlia case transformed the investigation from a local homicide into a nationwide obsession. Within hours of the body's discovery, Los Angeles newspapers scrambled to publish the most shocking details, competing fiercely for headlines that would captivate a curious and horrified public. Reporters flooded the LAPD, demanding access, questioning detectives, and often publishing unverified information. The press coverage became so relentless that detectives struggled to maintain control of the narrative. In some cases, newspapers even obtained sensitive details before the police had confirmed them, further complicating the investigation. It was the media that coined the name, the Black Dahlia. Inspired by Elizabeth Short's rumored fashion style, dark clothing, black hair, and striking makeup, reporters saw an opportunity to create a headline that would sell papers. The sensational nickname stuck instantly, overshadowing Elizabeth's real identity and transforming her into a kind of tragic noir icon. Newspapers crafted dramatic stories about her life, many of which were exaggerated or entirely fabricated. Some portrayed her as a Hollywood starlet drifting through the nightlife scene. Others depicted her as a mysterious femme fatale, a woman with dangerous connections. These narratives blurred the line between fact and fiction, shaping public perception in a way that would echo for decades. The press also intensified public hysteria by publishing the letters allegedly sent by the killer. The threatening tone, the taunts, and the chilling mention of personal items heightened the case's mystery. Newsstands sold out within hours, and radio broadcasts repeated every new detail, fueling the growing fascination. As the story spread beyond California, the Black Dahlia became a national headline, a symbol of Hollywood's darker underbelly. The crime revealed a troubling contrast between the glamorous dream of Los Angeles and the harsh reality of life for young women seeking success in the city. Over time, the case embedded itself deeply into American pop culture. The Black Dahlia appeared in books, films, documentaries, songs, and countless works of art. Her image became an enduring symbol of unresolved mystery and the dangers lurking in the shadows of fame. However, this cultural fascination came with consequences. The intense media attention distorted the investigation, spreading misinformation and distracting detectives from legitimate leads. The desire for sensational stories overshadowed the need for truth, leaving behind a legacy of confusion, conflicting theories, and unanswered questions. In the decades that followed, the Black Dahlia story became one of the most iconic unsolved cases in American history, not only because of the brutality of the crime but also because of the media storm that transformed a young woman into a legend. A legend built on tragedy, mystery, and the relentless pursuit of a story that the world still struggles to understand.
The story of the Black Dahlia remains one of the most haunting and perplexing mysteries in American crime history. Despite hundreds of interviews, countless theories, and decades of speculation, the identity of Elizabeth Short's killer continues to elude investigators and true crime researchers alike. Her case became more than a murder investigation. It became a symbol of Hollywood's dark side, where dreams and danger often walked hand in hand. The media sensationalized her tragedy, transforming Elizabeth from a hopeful young woman into an infamous legend known only as the Black Dahlia. But behind the headlines and the myths was a real person. A woman with aspirations, flaws, and a desire for a better life. A life that was taken from her in a brutal and unimaginable way. As the years pass, new theories continue to surface, keeping the mystery alive. Yet one undeniable truth remains. Someone out there knew what happened to Elizabeth Short, and someone, even today, may still hold the key to solving the case. Until that truth is uncovered, the Black Dahlia will remain an open wound in Los Angeles history, a chilling reminder that some secrets refuse to stay buried. Thank you for watching this episode of Hidden Truth Casebook. If you'd like to explore more unresolved mysteries, cold cases, and forgotten stories, be sure to like, subscribe, and join us for the next investigation. Until then, stay curious and stay safe.